Good evening. I've come here tonight to tell you that yes, your government is listening to you. Oops. Here we go. But not in the way you might think. And I hope that by the end of my talk you would agree with me that this can actually be a good thing. As we all know, the world has become more and more connected over the past 2 decades, and what started out as a mainly technical infrastructure that turned into the internet, by now, as devices have become more personal and more mobile, we've arrived at an age of so-called social media. It's no longer about connecting computers with each other. We're actually about, it's about humans connecting with other humans. And wherever a large group of people gathers, and they gather publicly, I might add, and this is one of the reasons why we think government should play a role in this, large organizations want to have a presence too. They want to form communities, and let's be honest, most of the time, they want to sell you something. So not before too long, guys like him enter the field and he wants you to like him too, or to follow him. This, by the way, is the official lion of the state of Zurich. And he represents for tonight just any old government, but at the same time I'd like to add, I'm talking about our government and the local government, and as we all know, there are far too many governments in the world who give government a bad name. So why should you like him? We're not out to form a community, because if you happen to live in our area, you're part of our community. You cannot just go to another government. As long as you live in our territory, we're your government. So that's great, no competition. And we're not out to sell you anything. Because whether you like it or not, and this might be particularly unpopular to say in Zug, we do collect taxes. So why should you like us? 2 main reasons. First reason, of course, for us it's a great way to enter the social media field to inform people. And that includes, putting up information on upcoming referendums straight on our Facebook page. But sometimes it's also great to just talk to oops, there's a fly here, to a very small group of people, like just a couple of 100 developers who want to build apps based on our open data initiative. And on the other hand, other examples from around the world show sometimes it's great to reach a global audience, like the USGS has a Twitter feed that informs you automatically about any major earthquake happening anywhere in the world. And this can actually be faster than traditional alarm systems, because as we all know, news travel very fast on Twitter, especially bad news. And we're all, getting used to come together around hashtags. And in this instance, when the bombing happened at the Boston Marathon a few years ago, it took less than 3 minutes for the first people to tweet about it and to send out the first pictures of what was going on. So this is great for the public, this is great for the media, but this is also great for government agencies, of course, like the police, who can not only monitor what's going on, but actually inform people about what they're about to do next. So this is all nice. But the second big reason that is actually much closer to my heart is we can listen to you. And I've brought a handful of examples, real-life examples, that I hope will convince you. There was this teenage girl she had a huge fight with her parents. She ran away from home. She was missing. The parents turned to the police, and she didn't have her cell phone on her, so no way of tracking her down. Nobody knew where she was. So the police was actually able to track her down on Facebook and send her a message. Just very simple, about like, your parents are worrying about you, please get in touch. And in this case, it's important that the police had their official Facebook account up and running. Because if you just use some policeman's private account, this could look rather creepy, you know. Now, what I like about this story, that like 5 years ago, this would not have been possible. I don't know how this story would have ended, but in this case, we had a happy ending. Because by the next day, the young girl got in touch with her parents and everybody, and it all turned out fine. So it's a great way to reach out in cases like that. It doesn't always have to be as dramatic as this. There was this young gentleman who missed his bus on the way to work in the morning, and as the bus driver was driving away, he was looking at him. Not very nice, of course. So where does he turn for his complaints? The Facebook page of our travel department, not travel, transport department, I'm sorry. And he said, well, you know, if your bus driver just leaves in front of me and looks at me, at least he could wave next time. So my colleagues, they sent back a message about, yeah, that wasn't really nice, let us wave back virtually. And we will forward your complaint, and we know that wasn't very nice, and we're trying to improve the situation and everything. And just by showing, you know, a little understanding, he was actually happy again. So, you know, it can be little things too. And it's a great way for us to show compassion. I don't know, compassion is normally probably not a word that comes into your mind if you think about your government. But social media makes it possible. This is an interesting example. There was a helicopter hovering one night above the city of Zurich, of course, keeping people from sleeping. And where do people turn if they want to complain? Twitter. So not only did they complain, they also were wondering about what's this helicopter doing up there. And it was actually near the zoo. So people started wondering whether some animal had escaped from the zoo. You know, others were maybe less serious. And the great thing about this case is that the police was not only able to monitor this, but of course we can talk back to people. And they could inform that they were actually looking about a missing person, a different missing person, not the same one from earlier. They apologized and they said, we hope it's going to be over soon. And just by sending out this one tweet, what started out as complaints turned into support. This is great. This is a little story that wasn't possible 10 years ago or 5 years ago. Next. So it's a great way to avoid rumors. Next up. This is actually one of my personal favorites. There was this young student, high school student, and his teacher took away his smartphone during class. And he didn't get it back right away after class. So he turned to the official Facebook page of Kanton Zurich, because he wanted to know at what point is this theft, and by when should he get back his smartphone. So this went back and forth a few times. And we finally decided to hook him up with one of our expert lawyers on educational law, who actually wrote him a lengthy opinion on why it's not theft, and what his rights were, and what the teacher's rights were. And even though he didn't get his smartphone back any sooner, he was totally happy. This is a direct quote from the last message he wrote us. And of course, this is what we love to listen to. So it's important. For us, it's a great way to respect people and take everybody serious. This is really important. You know, internally, when I talk about this case, sometimes people say, well, are you crazy? If everybody starts doing this, the whole administration is just going to be, you know, answering these questions. But so far, that hasn't happened. Final example from my colleagues from the city police. they got a notice about a stranded, abandoned truck from a big grocery chain who might just roll away and probably kill somebody. So they went out, of course, they went out and checked what's going on, and this is what they found. So what were they supposed to do? Try to track down the person who had given them wrong information? Try to arrest them? Try to find them? No. Here's what they did. They took this picture and put it on their Facebook page with the byline, "I'm also a truck." Which, of course, is echoing a famous ad campaign by our transportation agency. So this brought them hundreds of likes, more than 100 shares on Facebook, and countless comments, most of them positive. So social media for the government or for agencies like the police is just a great way to show our human side. We're not quite there to get naked, but we're all humans. So what are some lessons that we've learned so far? Number one, it's doable. You know, one of the bigger fears that any large or any organization at all has before entering the social media field is, oh, it's going to be too much work. But let me tell you, once you've got everything set up and running, it's absolutely doable. Number two, people don't think, oh, I don't want to deal with all this negativity. Don't even want to hear all the complaints and insults. But fact of the matter is that we get much more positive feedback than negative. There are complaints, there are insults, but it's actually easy to ignore them if you have all the positive things going around them. If you still think you can't do everything, do Twitter first. If you have the visual material, go ahead and do Facebook too. And just if you really have good video, do YouTube. The more local you go, the easier it gets, which is a bit of a contradiction because small towns and villages are still not doing it, which is sad, because I think they could actually they could set up a really good dialogue with their population. And also, after 3 years, I can say we're here to stay. You know, the tryout phase is over. These channels have really established themselves, and the amount of work that we put in them is absolutely worth it. So sometimes I get asked, so where are you going to go next? What's the next big channel that you're going to open? And I can only say, that's totally up to you. That's totally up to the people. You know, if social media is really a revolution, I would put a big if in front of that. But if it is a revolution, it's not the government's job to lead it. I think we can all agree on that. So wherever you will be in 5 years, I think we will be there as well. So, as my final message to all of you, don't just talk about us, please engage and talk to us. And I think you're going to like it. Great. Thank you. Thanks.